Good afternoon, or late, or early evening. So I'd like to introduce you to both a colleague and a friend, Manuel Gutierrez, who's CEO of ImmersiON-VRelia. He has a long history in this industry. I started out in 2007 in stereoscopic 3D, and he was already well entrenched in this market back then. And he's actually, through their codecs and software development, their work is part of the 3D Blu-ray standard. So they've made significant contributions to that. And they also have an early history in virtual reality as well as stereoscopic 3D. So very tenured, very well respected. Something to be aware of as well is they're one of the premier sponsors for Immersed. So everything you see today and in the exhibit hall and our evening reception, a lot of this would not be possible if it wasn't for ImmersiON-VRelia. So, and of course, as well as our other sponsors. So please give them a round of applause. One thing I'm very excited about is he's going to be talking about their work with NASA. NASA, it doesn't get much cooler than that. So take it away, man.
Thank you very much. I want to start quoting by some people that were here in the previous panel. So, first of all, thank you everybody for being here. And second of all, I wanted to ask you, who here wanted to be an astronaut when you were a kid? If you were playing and you wanted to be an astronaut when you were a kid, right? Yeah, a lot of people saw that. So it was interesting. During a lot of years, and I'm quoting the previous panel, during a lot of years, many people wanted to do so many things in their lives, and they were either hard to obtain, hard to do, or hard to explain, or hard to go to school, and do all these things. It was practically very difficult to do the things in that way. Let me just go full screen here. Yeah. So that's great. It happens to be that NASA, they have a lot of data, they have a lot of information that they have accumulated over the years. Since the Apollo missions and many other missions that have been out there, every time they go, they start collecting data of every kind. You name it, from photographs, data sets, three-dimensional LiDAR images that are collecting the surface, the topography. They are getting the stereoscopic images from the sun, and many other data sets that are generated constantly on every single mission from NASA. And I'm going to quote here Maria, and she was telling in the previous panel that all that information has been there for many, many years. And it was only accessible for people that was actually working at NASA as a scientist. Well, the interesting thing is that there are many divisions and many missions. One of them is the SURVEY, which is the Solar System Exploration Research for Virtual Institute. And in the SURVEY, they have the solar and the moon and the asteroids nations very clearly identified. They have had this information compiled in an amazing years, especially one which is called the LRO. The LRO is an initiative that's creating and acquiring information from the moon, the lunar information, and it's getting all these LiDAR information and topography maps constantly. And they have been mapping everywhere from where the Apollo 11 landed all the way around the moon as much as they can. So this is the LRO, and this is the one that's actually acquiring all the LiDAR images for the moon. And I want to show a little video here. If we have internet, oh, I don't have internet. Let's see, that's what I want. That's what. Well, we don't have internet. The thing is, with the possibility of the LRO, the NASA has been able to map the three-dimensional surface of the moon. Now they can see it not only in pictures, as it was acquired originally at with the Apollo 11 and high-resolution photography, but also with a three-dimensional depth map of elevation of the entire surface. And that has allowed the NASA scientists to explore the different craters and the different information of the moon, to learn more about topography and also of the composition and the chemical composition of the moon, which is one of one of the most interesting things that they are actually exploring right now. So it's about how many chemicals we can obtain from the moon and extract and process out of the moon. And the reason why is, well, it's clear the moon is a very interesting place to set like a gas station for missions. So instead of launching everything from here, the idea is to put like all these bases and installations in the moon, where they can actually work and they can have the fuel and do some mining even to construct in the moon the different like base stations and use that as a platform to go to Mars. So all that information has been there, has been available for many, many years. As I said, scientists are capable to do that. And we had the opportunity to get access to these data sets. In October 18th, we were showing all these data sets from Mars, the moon, spaceships, the International Space Station, satellites, and all that information was processed and shown into a virtual reality device, which is some of our devices that we have here that you were probably seeing at the beginning. So we're showing it on the go, which is a head-mounted display. It's a very basic piece of plastic optics. That's what it is. And you put your cell phone. The interesting thing is it works with pretty much every cell phone. It can be an LG, an S5, an 3, an 5, an 4, I'm sorry, and even an iPhone 6 Plus. So the facility of putting a cell phone into a plastic and turn that into a virtual reality head-mounted display, it's interesting, and I will tell you why. The reason why is because we were doing this demonstration, as I said, on the open house of the 75th anniversary. And there comes this kid, dressed as an astronaut. And he was with his mother, and he was with his brother. And he just walked in. And I asked him, hey, are you an astronaut? And he's like, no, I am not an astronaut, but I'm working really hard to be one. And that answer right there was very, very important for me. Out of all the people that we have shown information, out of all the people that we have presented virtual reality environments and games and applications and 360 videos, this was for me the most important feedback I have kept in my entire life about virtual reality. Why? Because this little kid, he wants to be an astronaut, okay? And he didn't have access to all this information. When I was a kid, I didn't have access to a lot of information. So what I did is that we put the device with the lunar information and we asked him to have a mission. I thought, well, you're in NASA and you're going to have a mission. You're going to find the Earth, you're going to walk on the moon, you need to point where Mars is, and then you need to find the craters and stuff. He was so excited that when he put it on, he started screaming, Mom, I'm in space, I'm walking on the moon, look at me, I'm floating. He was so excited about that. There's no doubt in my mind that he can be an astronaut, and he very likely will be an astronaut after this. The fact that we're bringing all this scientific information coming from scientists from NASA, accumulated over many, many years, and that now, with a 79 or whatever dollars is plastic on his mom's cell phone, he can actually explore Mars or the moon. That is very powerful. And when we think about the consequences in education, about making accessible all this information of any kind, it doesn't have to be space related. It could be any kind of information, anatomy, biology, genetics, geography, history. It could be anything. When we put the information in the hands of the new generations in this way, they actually absorb it. They understand it. They can see the solar system in front of them. They can understand how the planets turn around. They can understand how the moon goes around the Earth. And they can understand the eclipses. They can understand everything very visually, very basically, with a very low cost device. That is so powerful. I have 3 kids. I have a 16-year-old, I have a 12-year-old, and I have a 5-year-old. And I was able to put my 5-year-old boy this same device, and I showed him some things about the moon and Mars and spaceships and the solar system. And he was asking me every kind of questions about the moon, about Mars. about the spaceships. He's 5 years old. And having this kind of knowledge reaching every single kid in school can only yield to an acceleration in the evolution of knowledge. Let's talk about the fact that we can teach them about genetics. So the kid that was looking at the same information, the data sets from the moon, he can now understand how the DNA works, how the genes are composed, how they are created in a very graphical way with an animation. He can understand how the X and the Y chromosomes, they get together, how they are contributed, and how the helicoid, and they can see it. They don't have to be 18 years old. They don't have to be 12 years old. They can be 5 years old, 7 years old. And they can get access to the information. We can explain about the atom, the actual latest model of the atom, where it's not exactly like things going around, it's more like quantums and bubbles of energy rotating around the nucleus and the protons. And they will understand it. And the beauty of this is that if they understand at this very basic level of science, at a very early stage of their education, it's very likely that we're going to have the knowledge of a PhD when they are 13 years old or 14 years old. And it's not that I'm trying to accelerate or cover, their infancy or try to kill their illusions or anything like that. No, it's about absorbing knowledge. After all, everything that we do right now, right here, is the result of evolution. It's a result of getting all the knowledge that we have accumulated over the years and then take that as a starting point to do something better. It has taken so long to get to this point. But that's, if you look at the analysis and the patterns, that's what we do. We learn, we accumulate that knowledge, and we use that to create new things. So if we accelerate the way that knowledge is provided to the new generations, they will be able to build and construct new knowledge in a faster way, accelerating knowledge, accelerating evolution. And that's what moves us. In our company, yes, we're excited about the metaverse, and we're excited about socializing, and it's fun to play games in 3D and Immersed and racing cars. But where we see the real potential and the value of virtual reality and augmented reality is by bringing all this knowledge for a better understanding of our point in space, where we are located right now, and where can we go? What can we invent? If we keep providing this kind of information to many kids along the years, I am absolutely sure that they will come up with the next big thing. It's not about the hardware, it's not about the applications, it's not about if it's an SDK, it's not about that. It's about the usage that we're going to give to these tools. And it's about the potential that we have of training the new generation. So in our ideal world, we want to take all this information, all this scientific information to the hands of every single little kid that we can. And we're working with NASA to do that. And we've got already a working progress for a memorandum of understanding and agreement, where every time somebody purchases our device, and we want to do it not for only our device, it has to be everywhere, wherever we can get this information on. If somebody gets our device, they actually have access in a space that we call the alter space to education. And in education, they will get access to the NASA experiences. And into the NASA experiences, they will pick Mars, Moon, the solar system, the sun, asteroids, and they will be able to learn. So if I am a parent and I'm buying this thing for Christmas for my son, I know that he's going to be learning some things in the next few months. And it's not going to be just a toy. And that's where I believe that the real value of virtual reality and augmented reality is located. Because that's what really makes a big change and contribution to evolution. And even though it's fun and there are many things to be done yet, we believe that we have to start. We have to start immediately, talking to schools. We're working with many universities in Europe. Universities in Miami are asking us to start working with them. Other universities here in Toronto just approach us and ask us about collaboration and working. It is a matter of bringing all this education into the hands of everybody. We want to put one of these things, whoever the brand it is, we don't care about brand. We need to put one of those in the front of every single kid so they can learn faster. And that's what we believe is the next step in evolution. And that's what I wanted to say. Thank you very much. I don't know if you have any questions or something, just let me know.